tiny bit.
Just a tiny
Just
bit.
a tiny
Just
bit
a
of
little
your
bit.
sanity.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need much.
True. But let me ask you this real quick. What are some future plans that Sugar Game has? Like, what are some things that you guys are like, secretly have to come up on?
Well, thanks for asking that question. I'm actually excited to answer. So Sugar Gamers Labs, Sugar Gamers. It started off as a tech advocacy organization. So I wanted to create a community where people, no matter what their game type, could come and be supported in their game journey, right? So if they wanted to try out something new, if they wanted to learn how to work in the space, if they wanted to find friends, then Sugar Gamers was the place that they would find it, find news that was accessible, that sort of thing. So, and I did that for quite a number of years until I realized that there's so much more that we can offer because we've collected all of these amazing people from all these different backgrounds and all these different perspectives that now we have Sugar Gamers Labs, which we just started this year, which is more research and development. So we can start making games that we really, really want to make instead of like always feeling compelled to follow a trend.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with following trends or anything like that.
Of course.
Not boo-booing on that or at all. It's just that like when you're really passionate about something, you reach a place where you have to do experiments and research to really evolve and grow and get to the next level. And a lot of companies are looking for individuals that think in that sort of perspective. So with Sugar Gamers Labs, we try to create a structure in which people can do video game development sort of projects.
Okay.
So they don't necessarily have to work at a major company or be in school. They can come to a place like Sugar Gamers Labs, learn how the video game industry works, and figure out what opportunity they could really commit to. Because as much as we all love video games,
Yes.
and as collaborative as it is, it's also very competitive. So knowing what alliances you have, what team you're on, what you want to specialize at, what you want to be good at, what's going to make you happy, because there's ups and downs in this, and we want a community for people who need this type of space where they're like, maybe you're too old and you're not too old. That sounds wrong, but you don't want to pay for school. Well, how will you get experience? And companies, they need to like reach outside of their ecosystem in order to find like fresh perspectives.
Okay.
So Sugar Gamers Labs would offer that research and development, that kind of community that would be able to offer those kinds of services.
And I just heard you say a little bit earlier that you, Sugar Gamers, the labs section, you guys are like trying to get people into game design and stuff like that. Is there like a certain type of style of game design you guys focus on, or a certain company style, like indie or AAA, stuff like that?
I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter because I think you asked me at the beginning what technology I think is going to change video games or impact video games. And now that so many things can be done with AI, people who have imaginations and people who have like human character, like follow through, trustworthiness, loyalty, work ethic, those sorts of things, like a person that has like that foundation can learn any skill and be successful anywhere. So if you want to contribute those skills to something innovative and progressive, where do you go to immediately do that? So that's where how I look at it. It's not so much that it's indie or it's AAA. None of that really matters anymore. It's like people who are creative enough to look around them and see what tools are accessible for them to make their best work. So like the MacGyvers of the industry, so to speak. So I know a group of people. There's a game called Bleak Faith. And their development team is so small. It's like maybe 2-3 people tops. And in 2 or 3 years, they developed a AAA looking title. Like if you looked it up, Bleak Faith, it looks like, any number of console games that we've seen coming out in the last several years. And on top of that, you can see it's a labor of love. It has art. It has narrative. It has all these things. And it was only a very, very small development team. I don't think the budget was that large, and they were able to make something that was really special and beautiful. And just, like, I don't think everyone can do that, but it's possible. And with knowing that, like, why not encourage people to go to those heights?
Okay. And just from what you said, have you ever had people in your group make a game that you felt very confident about or that you really liked yourself?
Absolutely. Oh my God. So that game is called Game Gigs.
Game Gigs?
Yes, we haven't digitized that, but what if you gamify what it means to work in the video game industry from a studio standpoint?
Ooh.
So, like, everyone sort of has their idea of what gaming is. When you think of gaming, what do you think of?
When I think of gaming, I just think of being at home, comfort of my own like computer and just like sitting there and like getting lost in some lore and story. That's what I think of gaming.
All right, so PC gamer,
Yeah.
RPGs.
Yes, that's basically me.
That's what information he just gave me. And that's different for me. I'm like a console gamer, action adventure.
Ah.
Right?
Yeah.
So everyone has their own narrative when they think of gaming. And the reality is, like, what combines us is really knowing how to collaborate with different gamers from ourselves. And that's what really makes up the gaming industry. There's like 7 different departments, right? Like, we think about content creation and esports, and they are important because content creation is freaking hard. I don't know how y'all do it out there, but like, that's a full-time job. It takes a lot of mental bandwidth to do content creation. Esports, you playing the same mother-loving game.
Yeah.
Like, you practicing that shit, 4 to 8 hours a day, on average, 4 to 5 days a week. That's a job.
It takes a lot of muscle to keep that skill going, yeah.
Both of those industries are what we talk about most in our public discourse. And there's other ways to be in this industry, right? You can just be in operations. You can be in HR. You can be in accounting in video games, right? That's one industry you can be in if you love video games and you love finance. Or if you love music, you can be in audio programming, audio engineering, do sound effects, that sort of thing. We don't talk about that enough. If you like writing stories, narrative design, we don't talk about that enough. Those sorts of things are things that I really want to highlight people and make a part of our public discourse. So that's the game that we created, Game Gigs, to like kind of take people through that journey of either being that role of like an audio programmer if they're into music,
Yeah.
Or understanding that they have to collaborate with that person to make a fully fledged game.
Okay. Bet.
So like, can you imagine Resident Evil without the like kind of atmospheric sound effects?
That would
like
be,
the zombie sounds, for example, or any of the things.
It would be very still just to see a couple of people like walking slowly and like not
No
really
music.
making noise. Yeah, it wouldn't be horrifying. It would just be like a simulator of just protecting yourself.
Or like Mortal Kombat without the finish him or fatality. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
That's audio engineering. And we often don't give those individuals their props until like we're super deep in love. But like when you're making a game, you got to think about it. Like one of my favorite games for audio is Darkest Dungeon. So if you like PC games and you like lore and RPGs, Darkest Dungeon is brutal. Anyways, that was a long-winded way to say
It's okay.
Game Gigs is the game that we've worked on that I'm super proud of.
And it's not out yet.
It's out in an analog form. We have Game Gigs, the flashcard game.
Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions that I've had. But thank you so much for having us. Can you tell us anywhere we can find you on, like any platforms?
Yes, if you look up Sugargamer, just SUGARGAMERS, that's the community. And if you're looking for just me by myself, just take off the S. But if you Google that, our company comes up in a lot of places, and so you'll be able to find us. And yeah, website. We have 2 websites now: Sugargamers Labs, sugargamers.com. Just Google it, you'll find it.
Bet. Well, thank you so much for coming to Midlane. We really pretty much appreciate you. So nice having you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.